Other things are about what we are discussing today is about the past experience and the future job that students have planned. And I understand the freshers will not have talk about the past experience. So just few this thing, and this also freshers and work ex people also. The thing is, your specializations are decided, right? So even for say the BM students, even if you're doing general management, you have some idea of the profile that you're going to go to, right? So one is your functional things. वो आप पढ़िए, जो भी आप आपका marketing operations जो भी पढ़ रहे हैं, gen man जो भी पढ़ रहे हैं वो पढ़िए. But when you're looking at profile based, go to the websites of these specific companies or in general and find out the skills that they are looking for. It's an easy thing to find out. Right. It will be there on their website during their pre-placement talk. It will all be there. From there, put these 4-5 skills that you think are important for the profile. Whether you have them or not, it's a different thing. Achha. Okay. Now, why am I saying this? Is then map all your answers, your strengths, your weaknesses, your questions about past job, how do you fit into a company, why should we take you, why should we hire you. Try to fit in those things by giving, जहाँ example दे सकते हो वहाँ example दे दो, जहाँ नहीं दे सकते हो, you can always mention that I think I can do this or I'm capable. Okay. So for example, you have been an engineer, right? Whatever stream of engineering you have done, and you get into whatever specialization, marketing, finance, operations, जो भी है, IM or general management. So one is if you can have a direct link, nothing like it. One stream of engineering, let's say engineering in IT and then again an IM analytics, then that's a fit. Correct. Then you don't have to worry about. But suppose you feel it's not having a fit, don't force fit. I'm saying try to see what other skill sets you have developed as a person who has undergone 3 to 4 years of education. Engineering हो गया, arts हो गया, commerce हो गया, जो भी आपने graduation में किया है, right? It is going to affect you. So for example, when anybody in the whole world thinks of what is the profile of an engineer, not somebody who's working, who studied engineering. It's a very specific sort of profile. Right. Okay, you are taught to be critical thinkers, you are taught to be rational, based on facts, based on evidence. Engineers think in a way in which, let's call it this way, we can prove this point, right? We can come, there's a quant sort of a thinking. Right. It's a very left brain, right brain wala wo jo hota hai, wo hai. And which are all good, right? So you may have become detail oriented in the process, or you may have become someone who's ready to work or knows what is the importance of deadlines, or is ready to work even close to deadlines, whatever you've picked up. Maybe if you went to an IIT, you know what it is to be amongst a lot of people with a you could mention that I had up until school I was probably the only person or one of the only smartest people in the room. When I went to an IIT or an NIT or a very decent institute, क्या है वो Delhi का SRCC वगैरह जो भी है, even SP for that matter, I realized that I am not the smartest person in the room, and it's actually a good thing. I can learn from my peers. So it shows you are modest, you are humble, you are learning from others. So you can use these things. And so engineering, finance, engineering, marketing. So find out what they need for marketing, finance students, and then accordingly map it. Again, the underlying thing is not to bluff, not to force fit. Yes. ये already आप में है, which is why anyway है, तभी तो आपको interest आया है marketing या finance में work में, right? If you have done let's say a bachelor in arts or economics, then also you have a certain way of thinking. Right. We are not asking ये क्यों नहीं किया. What have you learned from it? Mm-hmm. If at all you really feel that your graduation was something that you really did not enjoy, and you don't feel going back to it, or you feel it is not taught you or anything, if really that has worked, and if you are confident enough to sell it, you can say that. Okay. Maybe I made a mistake, and which is why I think MBA would be more useful, and this is how I'm going to help it. If it's a true story of your life, no problem, do it. But again, not for pity, but because it shows who you are as a person. Right? So the failure part of questions that they've asked, which we have put into buckets, which are basically, tell me something you did that you failed to do, why have you been, fatal flaw question, you don't have too much experience that we would like, how would you have improved your career progress or your undergrad or whatever. The idea is not to put you in a spot to make you uncomfortable in the sense that ye kyun nahi kiya. Idea is also not that baki sab, everybody else doesn't make mistake, why do you? It is not a therapy session, this is not a blaming session. Right? They want to know, yes, you messed up, what have you learned from it? Okay? Because this is the sort of, not easy, but this is like a direct way to know that. Right? Okay. So, and it's absolutely okay, especially in a country like India, If you're talking to people in the age group of 21 to 25, it's absolutely expected for them to say some of them would say that probably my parents pushed me into this course and it's okay. There's no harm in that. Okay, but what did you do after that? When they push you, maybe you were 17, 18.
Right.
Udhar, you can't open this book of saying, oh, my parents are horrible people. That's not the point. That's for a different conversation, right? But maybe at that time my parents felt that this would be more lucrative option. But I realized midway in the course or anyway that while I've learned certain things, I don't want to make my career in this. Which is why I decided to shift something. And it's okay to say all of this. It shows you're authentic.
Right.
But I'm just saying this repeatedly because I have few people who have who generally sometimes come back saying that does this mean we are bluffing or something like that? But we are not saying that okay, so it's not like the optics matter or the language matter or ऐसे बोलो वैसे बोलो जो है वही बोलो.
Got it.
Yeah?
Got
So
it.
that is what I'm trying to say.
It's more about articulating what we have been through,
yes.
but articulating it in a manner that it's better for them
to understand that this is what are the key message you want to bring out.
Got it.
Right?
Got it.
वैसे भी if you like for example if I just have a general conversation with you, even if for an interview or something, I can ask you anything. I can ask you what are the views on Elon Musk and still figure out certain things about your personality.
Definitely.
But it's a futile exercise for both of us, right? Because you will be considering what am I trying to ask you, right? Actually, I'm asking you.
And it's very influential.
Yeah, and I'm helping you out. Okay, you tell me. Which is why we are suggesting prepare in advance a little bit on some things so that time you are not left flummoxed that oh what am I supposed to answer?
Right.
Yeah, so that is about failures.
So just a follow up on what you just said. So you said that we have to go online, look at the job profile, figure out certain traits that we've learned from our undergrad and map it up. Would you say that this remains common for all roles or does it change from company to company?
More or less. So 80% of it will be common. See,
Achha.
all the roles that you all are going to be, even if you have work ex or don't, you are still going to be what we call first time managers. Right? Now, not in terms of designation that, oh, I was a manager in my first role, not that sort of thing. First time managers, what we generally imply, are people who have done some management course. So they are starting, they know some stuff, and now they are also, along with doing their own work, they are going to be looking at managing people. All of you are going to be doing that.
Okay.
It could mean directly having a team of 3-4 reportees who you are handling their leaves, their appraisals, etc. Or it could just be being in a team of 5-6 other MBAs. Right? So you need to have certain functional skills and certain managerial skills.
Got it.
These managerial skills for first time managers are more or less common in any sector, any company you go to.
Okay.
Which we have discussed before, I think in that class also. But generally, abhi ke time mein you need to be agile or flexible or adaptability. What it is called. Agility is a new word in that sense, but it's basically adaptability. Similar to that is resilience. How much you can withstand. And as I said, COVID is something we all of us know. Everybody has experienced it. Okay. So they want that उसमें से भी कुछ निकल के आया हो, right? You show fortitude. Which is related to adaptive. Collaboration is a must. Even if they may make you competitive. Most of the companies will have you be very competitive, but yet they want you to be collaborative.
Nice.
Okay? Then you need people who will show that they can take initiative, who have potential as leaders.
Achha.
Okay? Doesn't mean that you have to be a leader in the first day, on the first day itself, which would mean that you have authority, etc. Then it might be a little difficult because you may feel I am still learning. How do I show authority? That's not about showing initiative. It means you are confident. I know, I am ready to learn, but I know certain things and I want to work, So for example, you go on the first day itself. Okay, I say, oh, I know all of this, and you keep quiet, you observe, you do whatever you are, you do you. But when asked, you feel that, okay, I have something to contribute, you get to know, you be sharp from day one. ऐसे नहीं कि मेरे को कुछ आता ही नहीं है सर. They should not regret their decision. So showing initiative could be, how do you show it through your work that you've done? Maybe you are a part of a committee. You need not have been the leader of the committee. You are a part of a core team, your AdMap team or whatever. Okay. Initiative in terms of could be a very simple thing that, oh my Abhyudaya Sitara was struggling with something and I did this. Or DOCC mein, very small.
So something like something you've observed, probably a gap if I can use the term, and you've taken something which is off book in order to address it.
Perfect, right? That you did not just stop that, oh, I don't have a solution.
I don't know what to do, that's their problem, it's not my attitude.
Exactly,
but
perfect.
The thing is, and like I can probably contribute.
Yes, right? And similar to that, so your critical thinking skills, your problem solving skills, these are some standard stuff that they want.
Perfect.
And of course, communication. And this is not said or you wouldn't find it, but most of them want you to be someone who can manage stress and work life balance very easily. So it's a very heavy ask. Okay? Because companies themselves are creating stress for you, right? And it's very unfair also. But what they're trying to see is that you know what is the underlying thing in this, that you know it's not going to be an easy ride. Okay? Also, most companies feel that most students from these high level institutes, the top 10, top 20, which we are a part of, have this chip on their shoulder that we are the best. You may be, we are not arguing with that. Okay? You are the cream of the cream. But humility is important. Right? You have to still listen to someone who may not even be an MBA. So somewhere that balance also. So underlying thing is you don't get too cocky and you also don't get too flustered very easily. It's a very difficult thing to measure also. Okay? So in that sense, students have that advantage also. But the point being that when they talk about, and again, be truthful in that. But the point being that is a skill that they are looking for. I don't know how actively, how everybody checks out of it. But they are basically looking at it once you join an organization, you at least stay for 2.5 years. That shows a good impression. Uske baad, theek hai, we'll figure out. But if you leave in the first 6 to 12 months, it's on the person who has recruited you. It's their fault. It's an absolutely wrong fit. So they are trying to say, first 6 to 12 months if you leave, which means the company has done a bad job of assessing you for the organization. That you were not cut out for what they wanted. Okay. Uske baad you stay, you work, etc. For 2.5 years, then you can go for growth. You can go because you didn't find the culture good. You can go for a lot of reasons. 6 to 12 months if you leave, it's on the person who has recruited. Anything. Maybe, and even if it is that the boss was horrible, the project was bad, whatever. But it is the fit calculation has been wrong. So that's not on you. That's on the recruiter.
Wow, that's actually
and they know that, right? So which is why they are trying to see those and that आप कितना अच्छे से fit हो रहे हो with the culture, with the people, with the thing, right? So that's that. So these are some of the skills, right? So find stories in that sense, or find your CV में statements that support these sort of things, which will be common. Mostly these will be common. 1 or 2 companies may, ethics and integrity is a thing.
Right.
Again, it's a tricky thing to measure. Okay. If you very rarely people do have actual stories of ethics, and again, nobody is going to claim that I did not do this or something like that. They may ask you hypothetical questions, situations. Okay. It's a good way to measure ethics. Hypothetical situations. The problem is not, rather not the problem. The point is not to know, not to nail you. देखो ऐसा क्यों किया. Because as I said, most people would not say that I am an unethical person. Point is to know how do you what is your rationale for doing things which are not outright supposedly unethical, immoral, etc. So sometimes you can just say if the organization is okay with this thing, or I'll follow the organization's rules. That's also okay, but depend. Now you can't say, for example, a lot of people in Enron also follow the organization's rule, right? So you have to display that my loyalty is towards the organization. I do have a sense of ethics and a code of ethics on my own. And if push comes to shove, then I will take a stand. But sometimes when there are extremely grey things which are considered to be normal, I would rather follow the organization and learn and understand and probably ask a few people. Right? So, and
it's mostly like where do you pay on in order to navigate through the grey areas?
Yes. Which is what they are testing.
Which is what they are testing also. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
While it can be a common sort of understanding will be that ethics question pe aapko, it could be used as an elimination. Actually, it's not.
Okay.
Because it's very difficult thing to measure. Na? कभी किसी ने अगर पलट के पूछ लिया that why did you reject me, you can't say that we did not find you to be honest unless there's some actual evidential proof. But I think in our students, even when we do our own vetting while getting you here, we have vetted those things, right? So in that sense, it wouldn't work. So then, because it's a very heavy level of value judgment, right? So nobody can claim that only because of honesty we couldn't. Yeah. They could say our values don't match or something like that. But it's actually not used as an elimination unless it comes out that you are really, you don't have any scruples altogether. Right. Then they are justified. But they need some very hard evidence to prove that you do not have ethics or the sense of ethics that they want.
Okay.
Plus the courses that you're doing, etc. It sort of adds up to this thing of your knowledge to navigate these things.